Welcome to Stress Mess, a stressless podcast where the chaos is real, the caffeine is strong, and swearing sometimes happens, and that's okay. I'm Samantha Elizabeth, health and wellness coach, chronic overthinker, and proud BFFs to stress itself. Here we're ditching perfection, embracing unfiltered real talk, and making mindset shifts that might just keep us from screaming into the void. Let's get messy. Today, I'm joined by Wesam Samour, a purpose-driven leader who believes our lives matter most when they're lived for the people around us. We dig into why your purpose doesn't need to be grand to be meaningful, how to read emotional cues in real time, yes, even in text, and why giving others the benefit of the doubt can save your mental health. We also get into leadership that respects people's time, avoids micromanagement, and builds cultures where every role, from CEO to janitor, is essential. If you've been feeling stretched thin, unclear, or stuck in constant, "are they mad at me" loops? This one's for you. Let's get into it. Okay, hi, welcome. Welcome to the
Thank
Stress List
you.
podcast.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Samantha. Thank you.
Yeah, well, thanks for being here. And it was so good to meet you as well because, and I know that we were introduced, of course, from a mutual friend. And, it's always good to meet other people that also have the same kind of mindset of helping people and really trying to do good in the world, and so I really wanted
Yeah.
to kind of kick it off with that and say that I love that. I love that we're working together, to basically
Yeah.
make things a better, make it a
Right.
better world, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you for having me. I mean, again, it's great and very refreshing whenever you get to meet individuals that have the same um, like work ethics, principles, and overall goals like aligns with what you're trying to accomplish or um, we're trying to put on your effort to make the world a little bit better place for everyone. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know on this podcast, I talked a lot about, and I know that we had talked about it a little bit too, kind of like a global mindset, meaning that like you're
Yeah.
not thinking about your immediate self or even your immediate family or your immediate community, but you're thinking about, ways that you can, actually, help the world and be
Hmm.
able to figure out ways to make it a better place. And I know that you do that a lot in your work and, I'm sure in your personal life as well. Do you want to share anything about that?
Yeah. So I think like as a human beings, we're created or we have like a purpose to fulfill in life, like in general.
Yeah.
So if you're here, you have a job to do,
Hmm.
and whether you're a doctor, lawyer, whatever the case is, and part of the air you're breathing, the fact that you're a living individual, a part of the society and the community, there is a part of it that's a value that you will have to provide. And this is it's not it's against like the individual me take. It's more of
Yeah.
like we have to make it better for everyone. And nowadays, especially like with how everything is set up, it makes it look like it's about the individual themselves, not about the community,
Yeah.
right? But even if we want to take a look at the individual, um, I mean, what's gonna make it better for you? Okay, you know what? Let's solve it for money. You have a lot of money,
Hmm.
but if you're not safe, if you live in a community that your neighbors are not happy, so whatever you're gonna accomplish with whatever you thought was the goal for you to reach to, um, it's not gonna get you anywhere, right?
Yeah.
And so whether you're like solving your life for money, fame, a lot of these things, um, if you're not a part of a community that you're enjoying it with these successes, it wouldn't have any meaning, right?
Yeah.
And um, and that's why you say like a lot of times where like when you first fall in love, for instance,
Yeah.
you feel like money doesn't matter, health doesn't matter, nothing matters. It's just about this one person, right? Or when you're just having like a very terrible day where you say like I cannot even think past this, and I cannot wait for this to get taken care of, and then something else happens where you get like a call, like God forbid one of your beloved ones is in the emergency room.
Oh, yeah.
Like your entire like thinking shifts,
Yep.
right? And you realize like whatever was occupying you was not even that big of a thing for you to worry about in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
um, so so it always go back to the things that mean more. And if we like trickled it down, starting off us, it will always land as us as a group, not
Mm-hmm.
me as an individual. um, and as everyone else finished finished my degree, started working, and I always, is this it? Like, okay, I wanted to be like financially comfortable to the point where I can afford to have a car, afford
Yeah.
to live in a house, and so, and then you're like, well, that doesn't mean anything, like, is that it? Like, I was in my mid 20s, and I was working with those who've been like doing the same thing I was aspiring to do for the
Mm-hmm.
past 20, 30 years. And a lot of them seem like they're uncontent with whatever. They're always like looking for the next big thing, for the next big fix to make them a little bit happier, healthier. So
Yeah.
I always like paused and said like, okay, wait a second. How come this kid who's like 21, who can like wear a smile all day long and seems like genuinely happier than the
Mm-hmm.
guy who drives a convertible, who like goes on vacation every other month and everything else, right?
Yeah.
And so there, and you realize, in a lot of times, somebody just lost the purpose, lost the main goal, right? Which of
Mm.
you just like being contributing member of the society, and there's things better than the career and the goal and the
Yeah,
things that is
absolutely.
like tangible. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a life coach that I follow, and she always says that your purpose in life is to exist. That's it.
Yeah.
So if you were here, welcome, and congratulations, you made your purpose. But it's what you want to do, with that existence is what really makes the impact on the world. And you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. There's some people that lose that focus, that, go after tangible things. They go after, the money and the
Yeah.
fame and the wealth and, well, wealth, money, all that kind of stuff. But, like wealth is obviously more than just money, too. I mean, some people
That's
might
true.
consider the large group of friends that they have as wealth, too.
Yes.
But
Yeah.
is it,
Yeah.
really, your purpose in life? And, I got to say that
Mhm.
not everybody has to have like some grand purpose in life. Their purpose in life might just be to, which is a wonderful thing, is to raise good humans,
Absolutely.
raise
Yes.
humans that are going to continue good work, in the
Yeah.
world. And so I
Mhm.
gotta say that I love that principle of your purpose in life is to exist, because it
Yes.
kind of puts the pressure off of you a little bit, that you don't have to have some grand idea for your life,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you know.
And this is I mean, and I echo that, because sometimes your grand purpose is just to be great father who would
Yeah.
like graduate these great folks that's gonna grow up and go and do big things. But um,
Mhm.
life is, it's a big puzzle, right? And it's
Mhm.
just like puzzles like having to come together in
Yep.
the first place for you to see the big picture.
Mhm.
So, like, I always like to look at life as a business, right? Because now everybody's talking about businesses, like, oh, let's everybody have to be like an entrepreneur. I want to be like
Yeah.
the the boss man of myself. Like nobody else get to say what I have to do, and like and make my decisions for me. So
Mhm.
if we're looking at life in general, like as a business, not everybody needs to be a CEO,
Yep.
right?
Right.
And a lot of times, like look at Fortune 500. The CEO doesn't know what sort of detergents or like solutions we're using to mop the floors in the lobby of that huge building, right?
Mhm.
It's somebody else's. Now, that person, or like let's say like a janitor, for example,
Mhm.
they might not see their presence and how important it is for the company. But mind you, let's say this guy gets sick 3 days in a row, nobody is like taking care of everything that we took for granted
Yeah.
as the rest of the team. You will feel their absence, and that's why a lot of people say like, oh, I never realized my blessings until I lost them.
Yeah. Right.
Right. So and it's the same thing for life, where we might think that it's always has to be big, it's always has to be grand, but
Yeah.
it's not. Sometimes I mean, I think about a lot of times where I'm having a bad day, and I have somebody who just comes in with a text message saying like, hey, I was just thinking about you, I hope you're doing well. And it
Mm-hmm.
flips my entire day. Like, to me, that day, like, that individual had saved the day for me,
Mm-hmm.
and they might not even realize it. Or sometimes, like, a friend that I like grew up with 20 years ago, and they just like, oh, this reminded me of the time then when we did this. And it just like it lines up my day, and you served your purpose, right,
Yep.
for that day. Like, you did great. Like, even you might not think you've done great, and like, you have surgeons saving lives and doctors and stuff, but at the same time, there's like accountants that they might put food on your table because they made the right decisions
Mm-hmm.
whenever you file your taxes, and they were able to like find few spots for you where you can save money on your tax bill, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or the teacher who had like taught your kids few life skills that's going to be with them for the next 20, 30 years. So everybody
Yeah.
has a purpose, everybody has a job. It doesn't have to be flashy.
Yep.
You don't
Yeah.
We might never get to walk on the red carpet, but
Mm.
uh, as long as my surroundings, I'm doing, like, when I go to sleep at night, and I know I did my best to like be as respectful of the human beings around me.
Yeah.
I think that's success on its own.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I got to say that, like, sometimes when you go to bed too at night and you think back on your day, there's some things that you think that I could have done better, in that,
Yes.
as well. And
Yeah.
then if you
Yeah.
can recognize that and recognize and internalize that and figure out how to do better, and if you
Yes.
get into that situation again, I mean, maybe you had a bad conversation with somebody and there was some things that were
Hmm.
misunderstood and, there
Yeah.
was things that had popped up through the day that you kind of see it. This is going to be sad, but I not sad, but truly kind of funny, a little quirky. But
Yeah.
I used to love to play the video game The Sims,
Okay.
and it's all about if you've ever played it, you have a character, you can have several
Right.
characters, you have a house that
Yeah.
you manage. Of course,
Hmm.
you have them go to work, you have them clean the house, like all of that kind, like the normal stuff of
Right.
life, right? And then there's also you develop relationships with people. And I
Yeah.
don't know why, but just maybe because I played this game way too many times. This is during my
Yeah.
time when I was trying to like avoid life and sometimes, like let me manage this sim instead of manage my own life. But it's one of those things that when you have relationships, with people in the game and you're talking with them, you can choose the prompts or you can have it auto choose the prompts for you. So
Yeah.
basically based on its person, like the Sim's personality and everything. But the point
Hmm.
of it is that um depending, so you could choose in the personality trait that the person's evil. Like you could actually choose negative personality traits. And if you don't manage that person's interactions with the other person, if they're being evil to that person and that person doesn't like it, you can see the conversation pop up. And it usually, if you are improving the relationship, it gives you a plus sign. If
I see.
you are negatively impacting the relationship, it gives you a negative sign.
Hmm.
And it ruins the relationship between you and that person. Okay, so simplicity. I look at interactions, like daily interactions that way too.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at people to see their emotional triggers to what I'm saying. I'm
Yes.
looking to see that if they're positively impacted by what I'm saying or if they're negatively impacted by what I'm saying. And
Yes.
I take that negative and positive feedback,
Hmm.
in my interaction with them. So I am,
Yeah.
looking at people's body language and facial expressions and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I like am imagining the plus sign or the minus sign sometimes when I'm
Yeah.
looking at. I don't know, like I know this is like, oh, everybody's gonna be like, oh, what a nerd, you know. She's looking at it as like a video, but I mean, in actuality, that video game, you know, for
Yeah.
children and teenagers and everything does teach you some things about life of, you know, like how do you
That's true.
impact people based on your own actions, and that's where emotional intelligence starts, right? You know,
Yeah.
is that very core of it is how do you show up in the world, you know, and
Mhm.
how do you impact other people and how do they impact you, and then it's that whole exchange, that back and forth. But anyway, I just
That's true. Yeah.
I know
No,
it's a funny
absolutely.
analogy, but I look at it that way a lot.
And this gauge is what you have to have, it's because it's
Mhm.
not you. And I have some of my friends who, like, we always engage in this conversation where
Yeah.
so I have some of my friends who, like, spend my most of my life with them. And I sometimes come on the, like, harsh side of things where it's like, this is how it is. It's like, don't
Yeah.
do it, like,
Yeah.
bad, done, right? And with time, I like I have my market fit within the group,
Mhm.
that they know, like, okay, when this guy's doing something bad, Wasam's job is to come in and, like, correct,
Yeah.
because he's gonna take it from me, right?
Mhm.
Versus somebody else.
Yeah.
Now, but with obviously, like, being exposed to so many, like, different mentalities, characters, and stuff, I started realizing, like, sometimes I'm just not seeing the full angle,
Yeah.
you know
Right.
and I'm just jumping to conclusions on certain things and stuff.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
So once I started realizing that, and I apply it a lot. I'm not by far, like, I'm not a workaholic. I mean, I'm involved in few things,
Mhm.
but from, like, large picture, uh like, zoom out kind of involvement. But
Yeah.
anyways, so I started realizing, like, oh, you know what? If we can just, like, equip ourselves with
Mhm.
always coming up and giving the person the benefit of the doubt,
Yeah.
okay? Just, like, find 100 excuses. Like, every time somebody does something bad, find 100 excuses. Like, just be creative, right?
Yeah.
And I found, like, doing something like this, it improves
Uh,
your own self-worth, and you will feel, like, even more secure. Like,
yeah.
for instance, like, when I have my friend, like, if I send him an email, it takes him like a week to get back to me.
Sure.
I can say, oh, who thinks himself, like, 10 years ago he came up to me and I, like, helped him out, and now, like, he's better than to, like, get back to my emails within a day or
Yeah.
whatever, right? All this is just, like, I'm pouring, like, all that nonsense into my
Mhm.
head. I'm, like, programming my head to, like, be very upset with the person.
Yep.
But if I flip the switch and say, oh, I wonder what's happening. Is he busy at work? Is he just
Yep.
having a rough day with his family? If there's something happening, with all these things, as I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt,
Mhm.
my like, mental health is improving, because
Yeah.
I didn't just, like, came up with um, this huge mental fight with somebody, and it was, like,
Mhm.
one-sided. And
Mhm.
we always, like, so I remember, like, when we were going to college, we'd obviously, like, we would be, like, in groups and stuff, and, like, you
Mhm.
would work in labs, and at the same time, like, college life, you're getting off late from college, and, like, Friday nights you're staying up to, like, 3 4 a.m. in the morning, and you end
Yeah.
up, like, sleeping half Saturday. And it happened a few times with me where I
Mhm.
would wake up and I would see people, like, being, like, my best friends, then wanting nothing to do with me, then
Mm.
realizing I might be just sleeping. It's
Mhm.
like text at 9 a.m. Hey, do you want to go grab breakfast?
Yep.
Obviously, I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
While you're not answering, I'm still sleeping. Right.
Right.
And then, like, 2 hours later, like, oh, you think you're better than me now? Like, you're just say
Right.
no.
Are you ignoring me now? Like, no, I'm just I'm passed out, you know,
And
I'm
then, like, 2 p.m. is like, oh, I just heard from our other friend who said
yeah.
that you guys stayed up till, like, 4 a.m. So you might be
Yeah.
sleeping. Well, just come when
Right.
you see this.
Yeah.
4 p.m. You still sleeping? Like, seriously? Right? And like the toll that it took on that person's day, because I mean, I myself like
Mm,
fall a victim of this sometimes, where it's just like
yeah.
drop everything now. Today it's me versus that guy or that person, right? Like I just need to get to the point of it. Like, are we friends or not, right?
Right.
And you just wake up like at 2 p.m. and you're like, did you just really have like one-sided fight where
Yeah.
you just
Right.
broke this off, you know?
That reminds
And
me
we're
of
best
the
friends again, right? So
so
it's
sorry. Let me
yeah.
like really she's like
Right.
attached to me. Anyway,
Yeah.
no, you're absolutely right. That reminds me, Keenan and Peele. Do you know the comedians, Keenan and Peele?
Yeah. Yeah.
They have that routine that they do of the texting routine. Have you ever seen that?
No.
Because I want to tie it back to what you're saying. So there's a texting routine, and one guy, texts him and says, "Hey, are we still meeting up tonight?" And the guy like picks up the text and says, "Yeah, of course we're meeting tonight." Yeah, of course. And the guy was like, "Okay, cool." So one guy is taking the text as like a great conversation, and he's just like, so at one point they're like, "Well, where should we go?" And he's just like, "Oh, I don't care. Where do you want to go?" And the guy reads it as like, "I don't care." Like he's like, one guy is taking it as like a good conversation, and the other one is taking it as a bad conversation. And
Yeah.
one guy is assuming bad intent, and the
Right.
other one is
Yeah.
assuming good intent. And you
Yes.
can read text, especially text, and you can read
Yeah.
emails and all sorts of things. Like you can read them good or bad,
That's
especially
true.
like if somebody
Yeah.
uses an exclamation point. You're kind of like,
Yeah.
is that a good exclamation point or is that like a mad
Right.
exclamation point? And I know that like when I emphasize things like, okay, so if it's just like a normal like, hey, sort of thing, I'll use one exclamation point. Two exclamation points means this is not good. You know what I mean? Like, oh my gosh, I just got cut off in
Yeah.
traffic, exclamation
Right.
point, exclamation point. But if it's three, I'm excited. I do it, but like I know not everybody interprets it that way. So
Yeah.
if we read like three exclamation points, they might say, like, oh my gosh, she's really mad or something. And so I think
Right.
that's the thing is that I love what you said about just having that like 100 reasons, and kind of looking at
Right.
that and saying, what could be the alternative here? And yeah, when somebody is not texting you back and maybe it's been several hours, you're probably like what you're assuming is they're picking up their phone and going, ugh, I don't want to talk to that person, or something like that. Like you're thinking the worst, right? And it's
Right.
that, sort of thing of thinking the worst when you look at somebody's text and the lens that you look at it in. And if we all kind of look at things in good intent rather than bad intent, because I used to I manage employees, and
Yeah.
one of the things is I did have a somebody that was working for me, and every time I would message her, she would always come back and say, "Are you mad at me?" You know, she would ask that a lot, and I'm like, no, not at all. I'm like, it was just like a direct message to say like, hey, did you
Yeah.
get that presentation done? Or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, and she was like, oh my gosh, you read it as like, I didn't know, I didn't get the presentation done. Oh my gosh, she's going to be mad. Jump to conclusions, based on
Right.
an innocent
Yeah.
question or text. And like, here
Yeah.
I am, like, I'm working away. I'm like, oh, is that presentation done? Like
Yeah.
that intent. And I think that's the thing is that I had to tell her eventually because she's constantly messaging me and asking me if I was
Yeah.
upset with her, and I'm
Yes.
like, not at all. And so I make sure like sometimes that I put smiley faces on things
Yes.
or,
Thank
you know,
God for emojis.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Or you put LOL at the end of things. That's a very millennial thing to do is LOL, because you want, you want to know that people like you're in good humor,
Yes.
you're thinking of this like with good intent or, something. It's not like you're not angry at them.
Mhm.
You want to make sure that conveys that, but yeah, text is a funny thing. I'm gonna have to put it in the show notes that Keenan and Peele, and I'll have to send it to you too because it's hilarious. It's a
Yeah.
that sort of thing.
It's
But
just
anyway,
no. They and see like so some folks usually like they come up and pick up, and this is just like it's a disclaimer. Everything
Yeah.
we say, we're not looking at the extreme of things.
Yeah.
Being balanced is great, right? So we're not talking about like just be bohemian. People show up late for work, just like they don't respond. Just, let it be. It's okay. No, no, no.
Right.
At the end of the day, you have commitments. You have to be disciplined, and that's why like in terms of like the teams you're picking. Recruiting is very important. Like the
Oh
biggest
yeah.
challenges for a lot of the bigger companies is recruiting, right?
Hmm.
It's not about you making your first $100,000. It's about how you're going to scale it to a few millions of dollars on
Yeah.
your own. You're not going to do that. You need team,
Yep.
and that team has to be aligned ethically. Number one, right,
Hmm.
for the purpose out there, and you're going to have to like have checks and balances. I mean, like a lot of the great things that was created ever since. Like our time on earth was it existed because of checks and balances,
Yeah.
where there is that one thing, there's this one policy that says like, okay, stop. And but deploying that mentality of like no, because so like one of the guys, it was a recent hire, he
Hmm.
stopped one day and he's like, oh, so I was telling him like we have like a good like employee referral program.
Yeah.
If you just know somebody, like I love your work ethics, I need everybody who's like you.
Yeah.
Uh, and he's like, no, but my friends, they wouldn't do good with somebody as nice as you.
Mm.
And I was like, oh, what do you mean? It's like, oh, do you know that person? Like they uses you because you give him some leeway.
Oh.
I was like, well, okay, you're looking at it this way, but how I look at it is, I have investment. So as an employer, I pay you for your time.
Hmm.
This is a huge appreciation for me because the worst thing you can do is for you to tell me that I'm going to give you my time and you give me money in return. Why?
Yeah.
Because it's the only thing that nobody will ever replace is time. You can
Yep.
replace anything else but time. So I appreciate you deciding to come in and work for us. That's number one.
Hmm.
Number two, I look at how much like your output
Yeah.
versus what you're costing us. So, and we're human beings. If I'm having a rough day at work, it's fine. Go home.
Hmm.
If you're like financially like calibrated that you're gonna get paid for 8 hours, but
Hmm.
something happened out of your control and you can only work for 6 hours, I'm gonna pay you for the eight. Why? Because I'm pushing this relationship forward,
Hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
it's not about me being nice. It's what's good for the company because you know what? When I treat somebody who might be abusing how we're approaching them as an employee, it
Hmm.
brings people like you to the team
Yep.
who's actually like very excited to come in and work. Why?
Hmm.
Because they have like a management team that gives the benefit of the doubt, that says, hey, I pay you this much, but I do want to pay you more. And in
Yeah.
order for me to pay you more, I need you to take on more responsibilities. And I don't feel like you're taking as much responsibilities as what you're capable of handling. Right.
Hmm.
And again, this is about the balance of we're not full on bohemians where you just show up whenever you want. There is no consequences of the actions you take, but at the same time we understand that at the end of the day you're a human being. you know
Yeah.
as me being a father and a family man,
Yeah.
I realize it's like it's insane for me. Like I don't get how some people commit for a job to always be there 7 a.m. planted on their like position inside a hospital or opening like a clinic at 8 a.m. on the dot for 30 years. It takes a
Yeah.
lot of discipline and it takes so much. But to me, this is the outlier.
Hmm.
I understand, like, if you're dropping off your kid at a school, you got stuck in traffic,
Yeah.
there's like so many kids, your kid grew up, like, woke up sick. There's like 100 reasons, again, 100 excuses for things to happen. So I can focus on big picture, on
Hmm.
image, on the vision of the company, and just keep us moving forward. Or
Yep.
I can just throw in the whole day, be like waiting for you by the office door as soon as
Hmm.
you come in, and be like, you want to explain yourself, right?
Yeah.
Life is too short, and this is part of like the stress mess. Is I worked for a very successful individual in my early career, and that guy had like so much going on. Like
Mm.
like if you just sit next to him, you will have like a panic attack just of like being next to him because of like how many phone calls, emails, and he
Yeah.
like out of nowhere he picks up the phone. What? Why they did? Okay, call this guy. And and you're like, what is happening? And
Yeah.
he had like franchises, right? Supplements. Like he owns like few healthcare, like
Wow.
healthcare in general. It's very hard to like for games for you to like be involved in because it's like
Yeah.
heavily regulated. Uh,
Mhm.
you have like payers, you have like the CMS on one side, then you have like the high payroll and highly like credentials individuals that you're hiring and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's very hard. And this guy he had like pharmacies, he had like, nursing homes, he had like he was part of everything. Uh,
Mhm.
anyways, so one day I was in charge of one of his operations. So I come in and he's arguing with the janitor. And I
What?
was like, okay, what is what
Arguing.
is going on? Like,
Yeah.
okay, this is CEO, have your own driver. Why you're like, what happened? Uh,
Mhm.
and he's like, oh well, he's not tying the trash bags right. And obviously that is like whenever, so if the trash bag gets full, it's gonna fall off and people start throwing things inside the trash can, not inside the trash bag.
Okay.
And I was like, you do know there's like on our like the organization hierarchy, there's like five people you can have this conversation with before
Yeah.
you get to the janitor, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that the janitor is like inferior to you, but I'm
Mhm.
saying is like you as a CEO, you need to respect the chain of command you have
Yeah.
set up for the company,
Yeah.
right? Because you have like bigger
Right.
things, right? Like
Yep.
I'm worried about my payroll if the my boss man, instead of like wearing like about vision, where we're heading to the company, what is the
Mhm.
next 5 or 10 years in strategy hold on to us.
Yeah.
You're busy with answering all these questions that we still like wait for it to be answered, and you're sitting here teaching somebody who knows how to do their job how to tie trash bag,
Mhm.
right? And that's why our lives are stressful.
I
It's,
mean, that's micromanaging at its best right there, right? You
yeah.
know? But you're
And
absolutely right. There, you set up a hierarchy, and I know that I have definitely seen some CEOs that were very, involved in things rather than empowering other people, to
yeah.
make their own decisions and kind of micromanage them into exactly how you want them to be. There's not that
Mhm.
openness, of the of what you need to bring as a leader, to your organization,
Yes.
to be able to empower people, to be able to give them the autonomy, because
Mm.
you hired them, you trusted them to be able to do the job, the job description that you set up, or
Yeah.
whoever set up that you've empowered, to make that job description. Those are the kind of things that a lot of people don't necessarily they want that control,
Yeah.
in their company. And I completely understand, that
Yeah.
there's that, but then there's that let go of control, because that's where the stress mess comes in for sure. Is
Mm.
that if you feel like you need to control everything, and I mean,
Yeah.
this is not only at work, but in life too. If you feel
That's
like the
true.
need to control everything, control your relationships, control your children, like control, all of that, you're going to be a stress mess,
That's true.
understandably,
Yeah, 100%. Absolutely, absolutely.
Gosh,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's and I think to me it was a good lesson because like starting my career in my 20s, I thought this is the way to go. Like you should be like, "Oh, how are you? I'm busy." This is
Yep.
like that success. That says success right there,
Yeah.
right? But not really. No, you should have like I think the most successful individuals are those that can organize their time and their life to
Yeah.
have that balance. And
Yep. Oh,
not that I'm saying,
I'm so sorry.
yeah,
Ay, ay, ay. Sorry, I knew she
it's
was
okay.
gonna do that. I
Uh,
was trying to stop her. At least she didn't
uh,
stop the recording.
yeah, so like I'm joining the conversation right now. Uh, yeah, it's so like when you have that balance, and I'm pro of you going the extra mile. I'm pro of you,
Yeah.
like your
Right.
9 to 5 to job, 40 hours a week. It's not about what I'm saying is that you have to organize it, you have to plan it right. So
Mhm.
um, I'm more of in favor of you working those 14 hours few days a week, and then you have like a weekend to enjoy with your family,
Yeah.
or like when you like everything else, I was done. I'm done working for the day. That's it. Now it's family time. We'll pick up tomorrow.
Yep.
You're not gonna solve everything in one day or in one
Yeah.
hour. You just try your best. It's not about like the destination. It's about the journey, as they say, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Right.
so you just try your best on daily basis. And again, like I have a huge respect for those that are capable of pulling that extremism of work and be like very obsessed about solving um, a lot of the answer or the questions in life for us,
Yeah.
like somebody like Elon Musk, for instance. Like, yeah,
Yep.
if you work 20 hours, by all means, like we're all benefiting from it, and
Mhm.
as humanity we appreciate it.
Yep.
But to me, I think like I'm incapable of holding on to that much stress.
Yeah.
I try my best on daily basis. I try to be as productive as possible. I try to be as healthy and as beneficial to those that are around me as possible. But at the end of
Mhm.
the day, it's I'm not capable of doing it all on
Yeah.
myself,
Right.
and that's why. So when you understand that time is limited, attention is limited, uh, you need to have priorities. This
Yep.
is worth it. This is not worth it, right? So
Yeah.
like you picking fights with your close ones and everything they do,
Mhm.
or like we want to just talk about it, versus just like letting it go. And there's like so much you can learn from the elderly individuals. I worked in few long-term care
Yeah.
businesses in the past,
Mhm.
and so these people, like in their 70s, they're like, "Oh, I take it when I take it. I don't really care." And that carelessness in itself is somewhat healing,
Yeah.
because I can sit and stress out. I took my morning pill
Yep.
7 or 8 a.m. Oh, it's 8:05. Now I'm like, I should call my doctor. It's like, oh, 7, 8, 9. I took it. And
Yep.
not that I say that, oh, this is your approach. Like you should be very serious about your life and health, uh,
Yeah.
but at the same time, you have to know like what to stress about. Like it's
Right. What to let
you know,
go.
like is it worth it? Is it
Yeah.
There's some things that you cannot change. And I
Mhm.
remember when I like worked in jobs where I had to be like planted somewhere at a specific time, and
Mhm.
I'll get behind like there's a car accident on the highway or whatever the case is,
Yeah.
and you're just like boiling from the inside. Like, yeah, move it,
You gotta
right?
get there. Yeah. You got that desperation. You're like, "This idiot," and, that sort of yeah, I know, exactly, rather than,
And it's like I'm stuck in traffic. One of the guys I worked with, like he taught me so many lessons more than I possibly like even like acknowledge that I did,
Mhm.
and I'm a victim that I never told that to him,
Yeah.
because when we're in it, like he always like literally pissed me off. I
Mm.
was in charge of him, and he
Yep.
always pissed me off because he's a guy is always singing,
Oh,
like literally always singing, like whatever he's doing. There's always and like and
was
then
it good
once
singing or was it
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah, he was like part of a band like growing up and whatever.
okay,
Uh,
okay.
but
So
you can like the building will be on fire. Everyone is like running out, and he's just like walking around slow mo and whatever. And
okay.
with um, like looking at it 10 years later, I was like,
Yeah.
that guy, there is some truth to what he was doing,
Mhm.
because if it's not very urgently needed or whatever,
Mhm.
like he would get his job done, but he would not he wouldn't let anything else stick on him.
Ah,
So by the end of the day, you're like, oh my God, I hate my work. I hate my
yeah.
job. I hate my life, whatever. And he's like walking out, singing. He's like, you guys want to hang out?
Having a good old time. Yeah, I love that.
um, so
I
yeah,
think we've
it's
all oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So he again, like he and I think this is part of life is you realize, like, some people, like, to him, he probably doesn't realize, but he changed my life to the better because
Mm,
of, as I was like growing up, I would
mm-hmm.
like review and circle back to a few of the things he did in certain interactions and stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, you know what? Like, knowing what I know, I probably would have like followed his lead on that one, or
Yeah.
like how he approached this.
Hmm.
Yeah,
I love that. I mean, learning from other people for sure. I mean, you see
yeah,
somebody when there's a stressful situation and you're running around, your hair might be on fire, but then you see somebody else there just
yeah.
basically just simmering in the fire and they're just like, yeah, there's fire around us. We can manage this, right? And you're like, why aren't you running around going fire, fire?
Right.
That sort of thing. But yeah. Well, I think we solved all the
Yeah,
world's problems today, which is always a great
absolutely.
conversation is to,
Yeah,
kind of identify the things, of the problems, the stressors of this world, and,
yeah,
solve them. And I think that you're right.
absolutely.
Empathy goes a long way.
Yeah,
You're looking at, somebody's intent, always assume good intent. Those are the kind of
yeah,
things that we can definitely look at, and look at, the empathy and, what we can learn from other people, especially those
absolutely.
other people that are chill, in
Yeah,
stressful situations,
yeah.
especially when we're not, that's me. Well, thank you so much. I really
My
appreciate
pleasure.
you being on the
Yeah,
podcast.
absolutely. Absolutely.
I'm excited to hear, more from you and everything that you're doing, in your work and your life as well too. So
Yeah,
thank you once
absolutely.
again for being here.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for having us, man. Appreciate
All
it.
right, great.